December 2, 1859. Boston Evening Transcript, Boston, Massachusetts. St. John's Dance. The epidemics of the Middle Ages have been described in a very interesting manner by Professor Hecker of Berlin, and the work has been translated into English by Dr. Babington of the Royal Society. One of the most remarkable chapters of the volume relates to the dancing mania, which first appeared in the streets and churches of the city of Aix-la-Chapelle in the year 1374. Men and women were strangely affected by this delusion. They formed themselves into circles and, hand in hand, danced for hours in a wild delirium until at length they fell exhausted to the ground. While dancing, they were insensible to all external impressions and saw sights and visions. This convulsion, called the Dance of St. John, attacked the sufferer in an extraordinary manner, and, after afflicting Germany, or rather Europe, for nearly 2 centuries, vanished as mysteriously as it came and has, happily, never since reappeared. At first, the dancers do not appear to have excited very much attention. They danced away with garlands in their hair and cloths round their waists, which were twisted tight by means of a stick. Many persons, perhaps not injudiciously, thought that these sticks might be better employed upon the bodies of these bacchants, and, strange to say, they themselves professed to find much relief from the cuffs, blows, and kicks which the sympathizing bystanders appear to have administered with an almost touching zeal. It began now to be generally believed that these persons were under direct demoniacal influence, and the priests had recourse to various kinds of exorcism to allay the spreading evil. A few months after this dancing malady had made its appearance at Aix-la-Chapelle, it broke out at Cologne, where the number of those possessed amounted to more than 500, and about the same time at Metz, the streets of which place are said to have been filled with 1,100 dancers. Peasants left their plows, mechanics their workshops, housewives their domestic duties, to join the wild revels, and this rich commercial city became the scene of the most ruinous disorder. Secret desires were excited, and but too often found opportunities for wild enjoyment, and numerous beggars, stimulated by vice and misery, availed themselves of this new complaint to gain a temporary livelihood. Girls and boys quitted their parents, and servants their masters, to amuse themselves at the dances of those possessed, and greedily imbibed the poison of mental infection. Above 100 unmarried women were seen raving about in consecrated and unconsecrated places, and the consequences were soon perceived. Gangs of idle vagabonds, who understood how to imitate to the life the gestures and convulsions of those really affected, roved from place to place, seeking maintenance and adventures, and thus, wherever they went, spreading this disgusting spasmodic disease like a plague. For in maladies of this kind, the susceptible are infected as easily by appearance as by the reality. At last it was found necessary to drive away these mischievous guests, who were equally inaccessible to the exorcisms of the priests and the remedies of the physicians. It was not, however, until after 4 months that the Rhenish cities were able to suppress these impostors, which had so alarmingly increased the original evil. In the meantime, when once called into existence, the plague crept on and found abundant food in the tone of thought which prevailed in the 14th and 15th centuries, and even, though in a minor degree, throughout the 16th and 17th, causing a permanent disorder of the mind, and exhibiting, in those cities to whose inhabitants it was a novelty, scenes as strange as they are detestable. This dancing mania attacked people of all stations, more especially such as led a sedentary life, but not seldom, even the most robust laborers in the field gave way to it. Many continued dancing until they actually expired of fatigue. Others so completely lost their senses that they dashed their brains out against walls and rocks, or rushed headlong into deep and rapid streams. Again, some patients were perfectly cured after the most violent attacks, while others pined and languished and never regained a tithe of their former strength. That patients should be violently affected by music, and their paroxysms brought on and increased by it, is natural with such nervous disorders, where deeper impressions are made through the ear, which is the most intellectual of all the organs, than through any one of the other senses. On this account, the magistrates hired musicians for the purpose of carrying the St. Vitus's dancers so much the quicker through the attacks, and directed that athletic men should be sent among them in order to complete the exhaustion, which had been often observed to produce a good effect. At the same time, there was a prohibition against wearing red garments, because at the sight of this color, those affected became so furious that they flew at the persons who wore it, and were so bent upon doing them an injury that they could with difficulty be restrained. They frequently tore their own clothes whilst in the paroxysm, and were guilty of other improprieties, so that the more opulent employed confidential attendants to accompany them and to take care that they did no harm either to themselves or others. August 13, 1949, The Evening Independent, St. Petersburg, Florida. Strange goings-on. Evil spirit departs person of 14-year-old. Washington, AP. An evil spirit which a Washington couple said possessed their 14-year-old son appears to have been cast out. This information was relayed to the Society for Parapsychology by a Washington clergyman who said the family had obtained for the boy the ritual of exorcism from clergymen of different faiths. The minister told the society that mysterious noises, creeping furniture, and violent rocking of the boy's bed were observed by the family beginning last January. He said he took the boy to his home where he witnessed these phenomena. The mattress on the boy's bed vibrated. He was then placed in a chair. The chair crept back against a wall. When it couldn't move any further, it started to tip slowly with a slow motion. Then the boy was placed on a blanket in the middle of the floor. The boy and the bedding slowly moved under the bed, and there was no evidence of the boy's body moving. Then last March, the boy's father took him for a visit to a Midwestern city. This was shortly after he told his parents that mysterious writing appeared on his chest saying, "No school," his parents said. The name of the boy was not given, and the society stipulated that the clergyman who gave the report was not to be identified. The society president, Richard C. Darnell, said the society was interested in the case because parapsychology is a borderline science concerned with extrasensory perception, such as clairvoyance and mental telepathy, and other paranormal, unusual phenomena. He told a reporter that the events described regarding the boy can so far not be explained in terms of physical or physiological phenomena. They fall within the classification covered by the technical term poltergeist, meaning noisy ghost, he said. But, he added quickly, I do not mean to imply that these things are of necessity caused by a ghost, noisy or otherwise. He said that not enough is known about such phenomena to warrant speculation as to cause, but that various laboratory experiments have demonstrated that it is possible through the mind to exercise some psychic, mental force, as on the fall of dice, and he declared that it might be possible that the boy, through possible possession of such a psychic force, might have willed some of the phenomena reported.